Yeah, I hope everybody had a good holiday. Merry Christmas and happy holidays to everybody. Went fairly fast, I thought, for us. I thought it was going to feel like a few days off, but it went by pretty quick for us. But most of our kids got to go home. Our two international kids stayed local, but everybody else got to get home for a little bit. But they came back with great energy. We got rewarded on that Christmas Day with that top 25 ranking. So that was pretty nice to have that surprise on Christmas Day. But good to be with some families and get rested up and kind of geared up for Big 12 play. And, you try to get their rhythm back now as quickly as possible as we move forward. And, you're always a little worried about that maybe the first quarter of the first game back after a break like that. But otherwise, feel like we're in a good place. Congrats to Neil Brown and his group. That was a fun game to watch last night and a fantastic season for them, and probably a lot to build off. So I think they're probably in a good spot right now. But yeah, we're ready to roll, excited for Big 12 play and to kind of see what we can do moving forward.
Hey, Coach, I asked this to Josh earlier today, but one, your opinion, was there any big memories from the holiday? Anything that you did to take advantage of it? And what were your plans personally?
Yeah, nothing, no major plans. We stayed here. So first Morgantown and for the Kellogg crew. I got to go watch my son play. So I went to Charleston Friday night and watched him play. Josh was down there too, actually watching Brendan play his son. So he was down there. And then Saturday, no, I got a date night with my wife on Saturday night. So there hadn't been many of those. So we got to go do that a little bit. And then really other than that, it was candlelight service at church on Sunday and kind of a typical Christmas day, which we actually went and played pickleball, I guess, Christmas night. So we got a little bored in the house. And so we got out and had a little family pickleball game that my wife and I dominated. So felt good about that as the Christmas ended. So yeah, no, it was a good time though. Got some rest as well.
Hey, coach, I'm just kind of curious hearing about, you'd said earlier in the season that you felt like your offense wasn't clicking on all cylinders yet, that, your defense was helping to key things. Do you think that your offense is in a better place now, or do you think that there's still work to be done ahead of Big 12 play?
Yeah, I think good question. I think both. I think it's better than where it was when we were talking about it. I don't think it's where it will be, when we get to February or March. And mostly just because it's new. I mean, we just haven't been together. We've still only played 11 games together. Obviously we get to practice and we can work on a few things, but then, when other teams play you differently, we've got to be able to react to what they do. And so it's what we're trying to do is come up with what that might be, so we can stay ahead of that curve just a little bit rather than wait until we get in the game. And then, oh, now we got to try to figure this out or react once the game starts. It's what do we see and what might teams do to us? Okay, here's maybe some weaknesses that we think we have. So let's see if we can address some of those types of things. So really just kind of honing in on that. But to answer your question, no, it's not where we want it to be, but certainly better than where it's been.
Is there anything that's, really surprised you through the first 11 games, whether, positive or negative, that you weren't expecting from the team so far?
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess I didn't really know what to expect. I know what I wanted it to look like based on teams that I've coached and the stylistic way in which we play. So that's what I didn't know. What I've been maybe impressed with is that it has carried over so quickly. So they've picked up on the style. We're turning people over, we're keeping people off balance. A couple of things that they didn't do particularly well a year ago was assist. They weren't very high assists, dead last in the Big 12, and didn't shoot the three very well. And so both of those things we are doing fairly well right now. I think we're almost 19 assists a game. We're sharing the basketball. We're shooting at a pretty good clip because I think we're getting the right people, the right shots at the right time. And so we've got them to buy into that. We've been okay rebounding. I mean, better than average still. I don't know that we're a great rebounding team by any stretch. We're going to get challenged more in the Big 12. So I think we're going to learn a little bit more about us from the rebounding standpoint here pretty soon. But really, that's kind of what comes to mind. There was just some things that we wanted to implement. Wasn't sure how quickly they would catch on. For the most part, they've done that. But still, no, I mean, we're going to get exposed in some certain areas, and that's the only way to get better is probably to be exposed and to learn from it.
Thank you.
Coach, just to follow up to that first question, I know I've got a couple basketball ones too, but
Right.
did you say that your son and Josh's son played each other in basketball?
No, they play on the same team. So
Oh,
they're
okay,
both at
got it.
Morgantown High School, and they are teammates. Yeah, they're the same age and on the same team. Yep.
Got it, got it. And then with you guys, I mean, undefeated start, obviously a lot of good takeaways, but is there any way that it could have gone better?
Well, I mean, yeah, we could have played better in some game. The Wright State game wasn't up to par. I didn't think we played great against George Washington. I mean, there's there's certain parts of probably every game, some games that didn't. But no, in the general sense, yeah, to be 11-0, to be ranked. We went through some of our goals actually yesterday when we met and kind of were like, hey, because we had some non-conference goals and it was, did we meet these? And so we started, like most of those we met. And to be completely honest, top 25 was not one of the non-conference goals. And so it wasn't about that. It was just, let's continue to get better and learn our identity and figure out who our teammates are. And those were actually some of their written goals. And so we were able to check, but they wanted to go undefeated. That was one of the goals. They wanted to sweep Pitt and Penn State. That was really important to them. And so they got those two goals checked as well. And so it was, okay, maybe we need to reset a few of these goals, knowing what we know now. So yeah, it's definitely been a great start. Could it have been better? Yeah, probably in certain areas. We maybe could have done a few things better and played a little better in certain stretches, but I think we're getting better from it. And so from the big picture sense, it's pretty cool semester. That's for sure. It was a pretty cool fall semester for us.
With the opportunities that you guys have had in the non-conference play, some really, really meaningful minutes from people down the depth chart. I'm thinking Messiah, Donnell. How has it been able to see them play useful minutes, to put up some production in those minutes? And what does that mean going into conference play?
Yeah, for them and everybody. And we met again today a little bit on some of those types of things too, and roles and role definition and how people can help us when they're at their best. And, Donnell and Messiah have made the most of the minutes they have played. Not the perfect situation to be in when you don't know when your number is going to get called. So we just got to keep, pushing them, and they got to be ready, and you never know when it's going to get called. But they've done a really good job. They have great attitudes. They're fantastic kids, which everybody is. So that's probably what keeps them engaged and locked in. But we're going to need them. We're going to need Messiah's versatility at some point, Donnell's size, and she's going to have to bang with some bigger post players in this conference. So we're going to need both of them again. And when that comes, I don't exactly know all the time, but it's going to come. It's going to happen. Heaven forbid, I tell them we're an injury away from those roles all going up in smoke and it all changing. So they've just got to stay ready, and they've done a good job of that up to date.
And lastly, the Coach of the Week honors. Do you soak that in a little bit? Do you move on? How do you respond to that?
Yeah, no, I don't. No, I don't really, not at all, to be honest. It's there's so many other people. I deflect that and put that on everybody else. I didn't make any shots or do anything, so that's for the team, the staff, the coaching staff, everybody that had a hand in it. It's those awards are always way more about a lot of other people too than just me. I know my name goes on it, and sometimes that's a good thing, and there's sometimes you don't want your name on certain things, but it's a good one. I'm happy for us. Great. It's great for recruiting, so Chris and I were talking about it. I'm like, yeah, let's get that thing out so we can, recruits can see it, and it's some national exposure, which we've been getting. I think that came out on Christmas Day as well, I believe. So, there was two of those on the same day. And so, yeah, we're just getting people across the country to take notice with what we're doing. And so whether that's to help this team or for maybe a seating later on or whatever that may look like, to recruits that want to buy into what we're doing. But the more they get to see us out there and realize we've got something pretty special here, the better for our program.
Coach, you talked a little bit about, struggling during the Wright State game. Do you think that was more of a, dealing with the long layoff? I think it was 8 days, or was that, more of a, great player having a really good game? And does that change how you prepare for Kansas having another long layoff before you jump into Big 12 play?
Yeah, a little bit. I think it's a little bit of both. There was that layoff. We had a layoff though, so it shouldn't have been, that surprising to us. Probably more credit to Wright State and the way they played in that game. And, certainly the Hutchison kid was phenomenal and had a big game. She was coming off a game. I think she scored 2 points, and then goes off for 37, in our game. And we didn't do a great job against her, but the other kids made huge shots, and we had watched a lot of film, and even I've seen their score since they played us, and I think they just had a great night. And, to our kids' credit, I thought we withstood it. And so I liked that piece. And then I really liked the response, because really I treated that the next day in film and like we had lost. And so we kind of got after him, had a good film session, got to talk to him a little bit differently, than you do when you're, winning big. And so then I thought our response going into the Niagara, the way we practiced prepared, I thought was much better. So even though we didn't lose it, we got to have that feeling a little bit and that sense. And I thought we responded the right way. And then, yeah, again, we've got to make sure we're a little better. And again, I don't know if it was the layoff or not. Typically the layoff, I just think you get through maybe the first half of the first quarter, maybe a first quarter. After that, we should be settled in and be ready to play. But certainly you want to make sure to start the game, you got some sort of rhythm.